Just a quick look now at the study summary for Chapter 7. Again, you'll be having a test on this and looking it over. We see radical expressions, functions, and models. And I think the key to all of this is this little picture right here, where it says there's your radical sign, there's the radicand, what is under the sign, and then in that little notch, there is your index number. If it's a 2, that is the square root, then we don't write one there. Generally speaking, if it's a even index number, then you cannot have a negative under here and have it be a real number. If it's an odd index number, having a negative under the radical is okay. And to help keep the possibility that it could have been a negative that was squared, we use the absolute sign, because this could have been negative, but it always comes out positive. And then we spent a lot of time going over section 7.2, where we were converting fractional exponents into radical expressions. And that was a good tool to use throughout. The negative fractional exponent we treat just by moving it down into the denominator, and that changes the sign. Multiplying radical expressions, again, this was useful in simplifying later on. And when we do simplify, basically what we do is we try to put under one radical sign all the perfect squares or cubes, whatever they're looking for, and then whatever's left you put under the other radical sign. In section 4, division, again, most of the rules apply. We can always separate them into two parts or put them under, if they're in two parts, under a common radical sign and simplify. Now, we skip this, but it's still knowledge that, in the sense, you should be familiar with. And then in solving radical equations, the key here, we had to be sure to check what our solution was. And the rule was to isolate a radical on one side, everything else on the other, and then square both sides. This was called the principle of powers. Keeping in mind you could get an extraneous root. We skip this. Nice little summary, but again, you'll have this in pre-calculus if you're going there. And there's that distance formula we spoke of over here, and the midpoint formula. And then finally we went into complex numbers. And the standard form of writing a complex number was the A was the real part, the BI was the imaginary part, and together it makes up a complex number. And we did talk about powers of I. Now again, in your textbook, they do give you review items if you want to look at any of those. And they also tell you which section they relate to. And I have a test posted on the site where I go over pretty much all of these things in a test format where I work out the examples. Okay, we'll keep this short, and this is available using your ebook online.